Right now, half of the projects happening around the world are just fundamentally doomed.
Yep, it's bleak.
It is. And, it's not because they ran out of money midway through or because the tech failed or even because the team was just incompetent.
Right, which is what everyone always assumes.
Exactly. It's because before anyone even picked up a hammer or, wrote a single line of code, no one actually agreed on what they were building.
It is a staggering statistic, but the research absolutely backs it up. I mean, we have this illusion when we start an endeavor that we are in total control, but reality sets in really quickly. There's that old adage, we can control only what we have planned, and it is just absolutely true.
Which is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today.
Yeah.
So whether you're leading a team, launching a new software app at work, or maybe organizing a massive charity 5K run for your community, or honestly, just trying to renovate your master bathroom without losing your mind, you are managing a project.
You really are. Everyone is a project manager in some capacity.
Right. So we are pulling insights today from a really fascinating socio-technical approach to project management, specifically Chapter 4, which is all about defining the project. And real quick, because socio-technical sounds like a massive corporate buzzword.
It does sound a bit academic.
Yeah, but when we say socio-technical, we just mean treating projects not just as like math problems and spreadsheets, but as complex human ecosystems. Because the people matter just as much as the timeline.
Exactly. I mean, you can have the most beautiful Gantt chart in the entire world, but if your human ecosystem is confused, your project will fail. Period. So our mission today is to uncover why so many of these projects turn into costly nightmares and how to use a structured, basically a 5-step approach to keep them on track.
Moving from abstract ideas to concrete plans, which I love. And it all starts with this idea of project scope, which sounds so obvious, right? Like I am building a house or I am launching an app.
Right. People think it's just one sentence.
But you mentioned that statistic at the beginning, half of all projects are doomed from the start. Where exactly does that number come from?
So it comes from a major study of over 1,400 project managers by Gobili and Larson. And they found that approximately 50% of all planning problems relate directly to an unclear definition of scope and goals.
Half of them. Just right out of the gate.
Yeah, half of your problems are just because the project manager and the client had totally different pictures in their heads. The scope is supposed to be the absolute ironclad definition of the end result or the mission for the client.
So how do you actually get that ironclad definition? Because clearly, just writing build a house on a cocktail napkin isn't working for 50% of us.
Right. You have to force yourself to build a comprehensive scope statement. And the research outlines this critical 8-point scope checklist. It's fascinating, honestly, where people tend to get lazy with it.
Oh, I bet. What's on the checklist?
Well, most people remember the big stuff, right? The overarching project objective, which is your basic goal, budget, and deadline. They usually get the product scope description down, and they definitely remember the deliverables.
Deliverables being the tangible stuff, right? Like the things you can actually point to and say, hey, I made this.
Exactly. Or milestones, which are the major checkpoints. But where projects start to bleed money is on the margins. For instance, the justification.
Like the ROI.
Right, the business case. Why are we even doing this? Because if the ROI isn't clear, you could execute the project perfectly, on time, under budget. But if nobody actually wants it,
then the project is still a massive failure. You just really efficiently wasted a ton of money.
Precisely. Another huge margin where people fail is the limits and exclusions. This is where you explicitly state what you are not doing, the boundaries.
Okay, give me an example of that.
So the text has this great example about a custom house build. Under the limits, they didn't just say, build a house. They explicitly stipulated that contractors can only work on-site Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Oh, right. Which is how you prevent that nightmare scenario where the contractor shows up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday with a jackhammer.
Exactly.
And suddenly your project is a neighborhood crisis and the city is fining you.
Right. It saves you from all that. And alongside those limits are the technical requirements. Same house project, they specified that the ceiling insulation had to meet an exact R factor of 38. And then finally, you have acceptance criteria. How do we actually agree this is done?
Okay, checklists sound great in theory, I get it. But I have to push back a little. Do real, highly successful companies actually forget to write this stuff down? I mean, it sounds like Business 101.
Oh, they absolutely do. And it can cost them millions in wasted R&D. The book highlights a really famous cautionary tale from the golf industry with the Big Bertha ERC2.
Oh, the Callaway Golf Club.
Yep.
Back in 2000, Callaway set out to create this dream golf club, right? A forged titanium driver. And they really thought outside the box to maximize energy transfer from the club to the ball.
Like a blank check to just innovate and make the ball go as far as humanly possible.
Exactly. It was an engineering marvel.
Okay.
But they missed one crucial technical requirement. The USGA, the governing body of golf, has strict limits on what they call the coefficient of restitution, or COR.
Which is basically how springy the club face is, right?
Right. The USGA limit was set at 0.83, meaning if you fire a golf ball at the driver at 109 miles per hour, it cannot return faster than about 90.5 miles per hour.
Okay, pretty exact.
Very exact.
Yeah.
But the Big Bertha, it had a COR of 0.86.
Oh, no, it was too springy.
It was too springy. And the result of missing that single technical requirement was that this multi-million-dollar club was officially barred from use by any North American golfer intending to play by USGA rules.
Wow. So for you listening, the takeaway here is kind of brutal. A brilliant product is a total failure if it doesn't meet the project's limits and exclusions. Absolutely.
I mean, you can build the coolest thing in the world, but if your target market literally isn't allowed to use it, you failed.
It's a harsh reality. But what's even more insidious is what happens after you successfully write that scope statement. Let's say you learn the Callaway lesson. The ink is dry in your checklist, you're safe. Right.
Wrong, because nothing stays static. This brings us to the silent killer of all projects, scope creep.
Yes, scope creep. It's the tendency for a project to just kind of expand over time. A slow accumulation of changing requirements, little extra features.
Why does it happen so consistently, though?
There are 5 main causes. Poor requirement analysis up front, which is usually the client having that, I'll know it when I see it syndrome.
Oh, I hate that.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Then there's not involving users early enough, underestimating the complexity, and a lack of change control. But the most interesting cause is called gold plating.
I love this concept. Gold plating is when the team doing the work adds extra value beyond the scope just because they think it's cool.
Exactly. It happens constantly in software.
Right. A developer thinks, hey, it would be awesome if this app had a totally custom animation here, so they just build it. To put it in everyday terms, it's like going to a restaurant, ordering a simple mac and cheese. But the chef decides to shave $200 worth of truffles all over it.
That's a perfect analogy.
The customer didn't ask for it. They might not even want it. And it totally messes up the kitchen's timeline and budget for the night.
Right. It's well-intentioned, but destructive. But what's really tragic is when the customer gold plates their own project. The text has this hilarious but painful case study about the Nelson family's home improvement disaster.
Oh, the Nelson story. It physically pained me to read that.
Yeah.
Because it starts out so innocently.
It does. They just wanted a modest bathtub upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Budgeted at $1,500.
But then they go to the store. And they see a jacuzzi.
Yep. The classic while we're at it mentality. They upgrade to the jacuzzi. Then a plastic frame looks too cheap for a jacuzzi, so they upgrade to a custom cedar frame.
Which means they can't use cheap splash guards, so they have to buy expensive tile.
Right, and once the tile is in, they realize the bathroom carpet looks terrible.
Wait, they had carpet in a bathroom.
The 90s were a weird time. But yeah, so they rip out the carpet for tile. Then the wife realizes if she's going to read in this fancy tub, she needs better lighting, so they hire an electrician for custom overhead lights.
It just never ends. A total cascade.
And the punchline is devastating. After spending thousands, the project is finally done. The husband gets in to soak, fills the tub, and the water is completely lukewarm.
Oh my God.
The existing hot water tank couldn't handle a family of 5, plus a massive jacuzzi. So they had to replace the water tank for $2,200, which required new ventilation, which required a whole new furnace.
So a $1,500 project ballooned into a multi-$1,000 nightmare. Just a masterclass in scope creep. So how do we prevent the Nelson scenario when stakeholders, or even we ourselves, keep asking for more?
You do it by establishing project priorities. Step 2 of our approach. Every project manager has to manage the trade-offs between 3 things: cost, time, and performance.
Budget, schedule, and quality.
Right. And you manage them using a priority matrix. You categorize each of those 3 into one of 3 buckets: constrain, enhance, or accept.
Okay, break those down for me.
Sure. Constrain means the parameter is fixed. It cannot change. Like, you must finish by this exact date. Enhance means it should be optimized. Like, if you can finish early or under budget, do it.
Right.
And accept means it is tolerable not to meet the original parameter. Like, it's okay to go over budget if it means hitting the deadline.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask a clarifying question here. Are you saying a project manager is allowed to proactively agree with a client that going over budget is acceptable? Because that sounds like a fast track to getting fired.
It sounds scary, but yes, it is absolutely essential. The text uses a great example of a tech company building a wireless router. In that market, time to market is critical to beat competitors, right? So time is constrained.
Right.
But the router also has to work flawlessly, or people will return it. So performance is also constrained. That leaves cost. Management explicitly agrees up front to accept going over budget, maybe paying engineers overtime to ensure the product ships on time and works perfectly.
Ah, okay. So it's about making the hard choices before the crisis happens. You aren't arguing about overtime at midnight. You've already agreed on it.
Exactly. So once your priorities are set, you have to figure out how to actually do the work without getting overwhelmed.
Right, which brings us to breaking it down. Step 3.
Yes, the work breakdown structure, or WBS. It's a hierarchical outline. You start at the total project, break it down into major deliverables, then sub-deliverables, and finally down to work packages.
The work package is like the atomic unit of the project, right?
It is. It's the basic unit for planning. It defines exactly what is being done, how long it will take, the cost, how much resource is needed, who is doing it, and how well it needs to be done.
And there's a really practical rule of thumb here for the text that I want to highlight for the listener. A work package should not exceed 10 work days, or basically one reporting period.
Yes, the 10-day rule.
Because if you give someone a task that takes 15 days and you don't check in, you are just crossing your fingers. If you find out on day 15 that they are completely off track, your project is probably doomed. You need those check-in points.
Absolutely. Now, you have the tasks, but how does that connect to the organization? That's step 4. The organization breakdown structure, or OBS. It links the WBS tasks to the specific departments doing the work.
Okay, so the WDS is the what and the OBS is the who.
Right. And that magical intersection where a specific work package meets a specific department. That's called a cost account. It's the exact point of accountability.
I feel like this structure makes total sense for something physical like building a house or a physical wireless router. But what about less tangible projects, like software? It feels a little rigid for that.
The book actually addresses that. For phase-driven projects, like the waterfall method in software, they use a process breakdown structure, or PBS. It's organized by phases: analysis, design, construct, test, rollout.
Oh, gotcha. So it maps to the life cycle instead of physical parts.
Exactly. And for smaller projects, you don't even need all these charts. You can just use a responsibility matrix, an RM. It's a simple grid where team members are assigned an R for responsible or an S for supports. It makes it crystal clear who is driving the bus.
I love the responsibility matrix. Simple, no excuses. But, you can have the perfect WBS and the perfect RM, but if the team isn't talking, the project will still fail.
Which brings us to step 8, keeping everyone sane. The communication plan.
Because poor communication is the classic project killer.
Oh, for sure. But a good plan controls the flow of information. It actually gives project managers autonomy and reduces unnecessary interruptions. Because if people don't know what's going on, they just constantly bother you for updates.
Right, so how do we build that plan?
It starts with stakeholder analysis. The text introduces this power interest map. You plot stakeholders based on their power over the project and their actual interest in it.
Let me jump in and apply this for the listener, because I think this is so actionable. If you have a stakeholder with high power but low interest, the plan says keep them satisfied. If they have high power and high interest, you manage them closely.
Exactly.
But the trap is the low power, low interest folks. The grid says just provide general info. Do not spam the CEO with your daily bug reports.
People think more communication is always better. It's not. It's just noise. A real plan identifies exactly what information is needed, like status reports or milestone reports, and the dissemination modes.
Like SharePoint, email, dashboards.
Yes, and surprisingly, physical hard copies. The text emphasizes they are still critical for major changes because they provide a concrete backup. And finally, the plan defines exactly who is responsible for sending that information.
It's all about managing expectations. So let's summarize this journey. To avoid being the project manager who builds an illegal golf club or a bathtub that literally bankrupts you, you have to follow the steps. Define the scope. Lock in your priority matrix. Constrain, enhance, accept. Break the work down into those 10-day work packages via the WBS and manage your stakeholders with a rock-solid communication plan.
That is the formula for traditional project success. But I do want to leave the listener with one final kind of provocative thought drawn directly from the text.
Oh, lay it on me.
We just spent all this time talking about strictly defining scope up front, building rigid plans, and staying in control. But the text explicitly notes that for high uncertainty projects, traditional project management is actually a complete misfit.
Wait, really?
Yeah. If you are inventing something completely new, you should use agile project management, where the scope is actually expected to evolve as you learn.
That kind of turns everything we just talked about upside down.
It does. So the challenge to the listener is to look at their current projects. Are you forcing a rigid traditional WBS onto an unpredictable project that desperately needs agile flexibility? Or, on the flip side, are you using agile as an excuse because you're just too lazy to write a proper scope statement?
Oof. That is a fantastic question to chew on. Are you actually being agile, or are you just avoiding the hard work of planning? Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools back to your own human ecosystems, and we will catch you next time.